Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty interesting coming out of OpenAI.
Yeah, it's about their newer AI models, the reasoning ones, O3 and O4 Mini.
Exactly. We've got this report, seems to be from TechCrunch. And what we want to do, kind of our mission here, is unpack what it's saying.
Okay.
Because the really strange thing, the puzzle, is that these models, which are supposed to be better at reasoning,
Right, designed for it.
they seem to be, well, hallucinating more. Making stuff up more often than GPT-4, which isn't even specifically built for that deep reasoning.
Which is completely counterintuitive, isn't it?
Totally, because the whole point of these newer models, the O series, was this idea that they'd, pause, they'd sort of think through a question before answering.
Exactly. Like take a beat, analyze, don't just spit out the first plausible thing. You'd expect that process to lead to fewer errors, more reliability,
Yeah.
not the opposite.
Definitely not the opposite. So that's the setup. Enhanced reasoning, but potentially more inaccuracies.
That's what the report suggests, yeah. It highlights the central finding from OpenAI's own internal tests.
And that finding is basically O3 and 4 mini are hallucinating more frequently than GPT-4o.
Yeah. Despite being designed specifically not to do that, or at least to do it less.
It's like upgrading your calculator to do calculus, but finding it suddenly gets basic addition wrong more often. Makes no sense on the surface.
Not really, and maybe we should clarify hallucinations here. We're not talking tiny mistakes.
Good point.
It means the AI is presenting information as fact when it's just wrong, or sometimes completely fabricated, made up.
Right. Confidently incorrect, you could say.
Precisely. And for models meant to reason better to do more of this, that's the real head scratcher. Why would making it smarter in one way make it less accurate in this other fundamental way?
Well, and what's fascinating, and maybe a bit concerning, is that OpenAI themselves don't seem to have the answer yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the report mentions their own technical documents acknowledge this.
Yeah.
They basically say more research is needed to understand why this happens when they scale up reasoning.
Wow. So the creators are openly saying, we built this thing to reason better, it's hallucinating more, and we're not entirely sure why yet.
Pretty much. Which, tells you how complex this stuff is.
Yeah.
We're still figuring out the consequences of making these systems more powerful.
It really does. Even the people building it are sometimes surprised by the outcomes. The report did mention a possible theory, though, from someone who used to work there.
Ah, yes, that was interesting. The idea, sort of hypothesis, is that it might be linked to the training method, specifically reinforcement learning.
Okay, reinforcement learning, like rewarding the AI for certain outputs.
Yeah, that kind of process. The suggestion is that this method, used heavily for the O series, might be accidentally amplifying some underlying tendencies to generate novel, even if incorrect output. Things that maybe get ironed out later in other models.
So the very process designed to teach it better reasoning could be inadvertently encouraging it to invent things, if that somehow gets a reward signal during training.
That seems to be the speculation.
Yeah.
It's not confirmed, but it's a plausible idea. And it creates this weird tension, doesn't it?
Oh, so?
Well, the report touches on this tendency to generate unexpected, sometimes inaccurate stuff. Maybe that's useful for creativity, like brainstorming or generating wild ideas.
Okay, I could see that. Like a source of unexpected connections, maybe?
But then the flip side is huge. For, business use or anything where accuracy is critical. You absolutely cannot have your AI just making things up.
No way. Legal advice, medical information, financial data, hallucinations there are disastrous, so it's this real double-edged sword. Potential creative spark versus a fundamental lack of reliability.
Exactly. And this isn't just an academic problem for OpenAI. The report frames it in the context of the AI arms race, basically.
Right. They're competing hard against Google, Meta, Anthropic, all the others.
DeepSeek, XAI.
Yeah. They're betting heavily on these new O models to give them an advantage. So this hallucination issue, it's a significant hurdle for them.
A major one. If businesses can't trust the output, the better reasoning doesn't mean as much in practice.
But here's another twist. Despite this problem, the models are performing incredibly well on some things.
Oh, like what?
The report mentioned benchmark scores, like O3 apparently scored really high, like 69%, on something called SWE bench verified. O4 mini was close behind.
SWE bench. That tests coding ability, right? Software engineering tasks.
That's the one. So these models are state-of-the-art or close to it when it comes to complex coding problems.
But they might also confidently tell you something completely untrue about, say, history or science.
Seems like it. It's this weird paradox. Super capable and structured, verifiable tasks like code, but potentially less reliable in more open-ended knowledge domains. It shows that AI progress isn't just a straight lineup, I guess. Improving one capability might have unexpected trade-offs in another. It's not like getting better at math automatically makes you better at writing essays.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of another point the report brought up, tangential maybe, but related to unexpected consequences.
Okay.
It mentioned that earlier OpenAI study, the one with MIT Media Lab, about ChatGPT usage.
Ah, the loneliness study. I remember seeing something about that.
Yeah. They found that people who used ChatGPT a lot tended to trust it more,
Yeah.
even bond with it, but also reported feeling lonelier.
Which is also counterintuitive in a way. More connection, but more loneliness.
Exactly. And while that's a social or psychological issue, not a technical hallucination one.
It still speaks to the unpredictable side effects of these advanced AIs interacting with us.
Right. Whether it's the AI's accuracy or its impact on our feelings,
Yeah,
we're still learning about the full picture. It's all part of this complex relationship we're building.
definitely. Lots of unknowns still.
So wrapping this up for everyone listening, the main takeaway from this deep dive, looking at that TechCrunch report, is pretty stark.
Yeah.
OpenAI's newest AI models, O3 and O4 Mini, the ones specifically built to reason better and be more accurate, are actually hallucinating more often than the previous model, GPT-4o.
And crucially, why this is happening isn't fully understood, even by OpenAI.
Exactly. They've acknowledged they need more research,
Hmm.
which really highlights, where we are with AI right now.
It does. It shows the limits. Even with these incredibly powerful tools, achieving consistent, reliable, factual accuracy, especially as they get more complex, is still a massive challenge.
Huge challenge, especially for anything important, any critical application where you just need the right answer.
Absolutely. You can't build critical infrastructure on something that might just confidently invent its facts.
Which leaves us with kind of a final thought to chew on.
Oh.
If even these cutting-edge models, designed from the ground up for better reasoning, are struggling with accuracy, what does that mean for how much we should trust AI, especially as it gets woven into more and more parts of our lives?
That's a big question. How do we manage that reliance when even the most advanced systems have these known but not fully understood flaws?
Yeah. And what kind of new research, or maybe even totally different approaches to AI, do we need to actually understand and fix these hallucinations? How do we get to truly reliable AI?
It suggests we might need more than just scaling up current methods. Maybe some fundamental insights are still missing.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us on this one.
Always interesting.